Just checking. Okay, there is audio. And okay, so yesterday I was working on this little fellow, which is Dante Alighieri. I am using this um, bunch of pictures of Dante and Virgil as a reference. I'm actually gonna make both of them. Um, Currently, I have only uh, Dante. So yesterday I had some reference here. This head I actually created it in um, in um, in Blender, but um, oh, but um, um, this boy. Um, what I was saying is that I created the head uh, on Blender. It looks quite weird when imported to medium, and I think when I export the whole model, I will remove the head and use the original um, inside of Blender. I actually use this image as a reference for Dante, and I like the result. I actually sculpted um, uh, with a Wacom tablet. It was my first time, I think, first second time trying sculpting with a tablet, and not long from that was when I started to use the Oculus Rift for sculpting, and I have been using Rift for that. Mm, so um, there is a head, there is a body. Well, the cloth. Um, the idea is to use my mockup tools to um, animate the character and hopefully create something nice with it. Yesterday I created the body, the cloth, and today I wanted to create adding some of the uh, body garment, this long piece. The gloves are not the gloves, the sleeves are a bit different from from this piece over here, where they are a bit longer. um, I'm using actually more this one as a reference. I wanted the piece to be more close to the body, and because when I animate that, I guess that um, animate the cloth here is gonna take some time, so I'm ignoring it a bit. But he is using this long rope bath kind of stuff. Um, it's just one C piece. What I'm not sure is how long that piece goes. Um, oh, okay, here he has not. It's not that big. It's more like uh, sleeping, sleeping clothes, kind of a huge pajama. I have other pieces here. Let me check the stream. Okay. Um, most of these artworks are from Gustave Doré. Um, he was great at engraving and on engraving and paintings. I recall that his works were one of the first that I ever saw, um, and I always liked that uh, type of etching, carving style. Um, so it's always been present in my mind. Uh, that type of work. Right now, I'm increasing the resolution just to be able to add more detail to this um, um, clothing garment. Um, I was resizing this paint. I hear many people has problems sometimes when they create a big sculpture and they forget to save the project. I have this, I don't know if tick of saving quite often. I guess it's because of my um, um, software engineer um, work, where you have that thing that you're saving constantly with almost every change. I've lost a couple of works, but not something that I regret. But that was in the first days using Medium. I had installed the new Oculus interface. I forgot the name. Where you place an overlay of the desktop on top of your current view, and it's quite heavy, so heavy that 32 gigabytes of RAM was not enough to handle the amount of data that I was working with my sculpture. So in the end, I had to remove it. Uh, they are aware of that problem and they are working on that. But the beta is kind of heavy for me right now, and I know that I'm not the only one suffering from those memory issues with the beta. So right now the sculpture is quite smooth. I hope to add some um, crevices later. Um, I like this to be bigger, longer. Not how much. This stream is kind of a test. Um, I've never streamed into uh, what is it called? Twitter. Periscope. Periscope. I've never tested with Twitch either, and with YouTube. I've never used those options. I used quite a lot the Facebook Live option in January. With the Sculpt January, uh, it was easier for me to use that service, I guess. I wanted to try other services. Um, and using three at the same time, I think is better than only use one. So okay, looks a bit bigger. Okay. Use like three buttons in there. His costume varies depending on the artwork. Um, um, he and Virgil have this crown. I forgot the specific name, but as far as I am aware, the Lips crown indicates that um, he was a known poet, and Virgil was uh, quite old poet from uh, known by Dante. That's why he included him as his guide in the Divine Comedy. And by that time, many works did not include Dante's uh, crown, like that one over there and that one over there. But later, since his works he has been known and famous, so from that time, many artists have placed the crown on his head. Um, as far as I know. Um, I use red, but I don't think that that's the final look of of the clothing. I certainly will change. Whoop, let's call that a hat. Change that with how is it called? I will texture it with the substance painter. Um, so the color is just to be conscious about um, how the whole structure um, the clothes look, so I don't get lost with it. So looks like, okay, he has that. It's a weird hat, man. It's like a top and has a knot on the back. What else? I like this one too, but I have to put the. I actually don't know if I put the crown. I'm not quite a fan of it. I liked the idea of him being the the unknown poet. And Virgil being the known. I'm not using the mirror um, because of the way I started. Very handmade body. So um, actually, the whole body and the clothing, it's very asymmetrical. Shoulder here is a bit lower. I don't mind. It looks more realistic that way. Looks, it has character. The head though, it was created with a mirror in Blender. Right now I'm just covering. Whoop, I don't like that. I'll remove the head, take a look inside once we finish this part. The thing with doing this sculpting the way I do is that I create like a hollow um, shell, and that's not quite good when you export the model in I don't know, Blender, and you have to texture it because it has the double of the area. Let's say this is sphere. That was a sphere. This is sphere, and when I do one of my sculptings, it is hollow in the insides. So it's hollow, but it has this inside, which is another area, another face. If you take a look inside of this little sphere, it has nothing inside. But if you do a sphere this way, it has another face inside. So when you look inside of this, you will find another sphere inside of that one. So when I finish um, doing that thing, um, I I mean when I finish like creating this hat, it will exist a hollow piece inside. So what I do is I go inside the object and fill it with it's called the inflate tool. That's the only way I've found to quickly fix that thing I do. And that is because I'm not or I have not the sculptor knowledge and in 3D modeling, because some people start with, I mean, I did this But some people will do this, will put their sphere there and use the move tool maybe, and they will do something like this, blah blah, blah. They move and they have their hat, and they will sculpt on top of that. I don't do that. I go probably to the stupid way where I go manually at everything, and everything looks a bit uneven, but I don't mind. And I think that's because more of my drawing background, um, because um, I visualize some of the stuff in 2D, and sometimes I create an armature with 3D strands, and then I fill the holes with it. So, okay, save here, and let's remove the head. And that's the thing that I was talking about. The inside remains the um, the double inner carcass. And what I do is just using the inflate. And the reason is to reduce inner area, so now it's just a flat surface. And I guess this could be and should be removed from a 3D tool like Blender to remove this inner face, so you don't have to texture this area and don't waste that space in a, let's say, a 4K texture where you can add other pieces of other textures. But I usually never do. I don't care. Just stays there. I mean, it doesn't. Oh, look, hold on. It's not interrupting me with the rest of the work. So usually I don't care. It looks a bit tough here. That's like the first piece, but I would like to. Oh man. Well, the thing with this face is that it actually has more resolution that it is visible here. It has the eyes, the lips, and everything um, well traced. But when you import it to Oculus, it reduces a bit its definition. You have to increase the layer resolution for that. And by doing that, you of course eat memory and reduces the size of the layer. And by size of the layer, I mean this box around. Um, that box is the box resolution. It's not like um, an image resolution where you count pixels. This is called voxels, which means a box is pixel box. So when you take a look here, you see those little triangles. My guess is that the voxel is right here. You see, it's just a little triangle. So you cannot um, draw something smaller from that point. But if you increase the resolution, you can. But that means that uh, you are not able to create bigger stuff. So you should be aware of that when you are sculpting. Um, you can distribute detail into various layers. So if you require a lot of detail, small piece, add a layer. You add a layer only for that, and crank up your resolution, and it will be solely dedicated to that piece. But of course, more resolution you use, it requires more memory, meaning that the final file will be huge. I think the bigger file I've ended up, it's like more than 1 GB. Usually all these projects are near 300 megabytes. Not that big, but it fills your disk eventually. It looks more defined. His head is more like a neck here. It's different. But it's not symmetrical. I like the fact that it's not symmetrical. Keep that bit of realism, but it also means that it looks a bit weird. Now this piece covers the ear. Oh, I like to make this just a bit bigger so I can add that those flappy ears, dog ears. Oh, here look quite good. Bit of space. Looks a bit like a pope more than Dante right now. The thing with this thing on top is like it's more like um, it's more like how is it called? Well, it has a knot on the back, so it's full piece is not just that round thing. but I'm going to pretend that I'm not looking at it right now. So, okay, so this thing goes, now this is the thing that I do. This is the thing that I do, the way I sculpt. Um, I do this weird 2D-ish um, um, mock-ups. It's like a scaffold, like scaffold. That's the word that I'm looking for. But here is gonna have to cover the ear. It's gonna look weird. And of course, on the right side, and that's different each side. I actually don't know what is that. It's like a hat. It's like a hat. Oh, and that one looks better. It's like in one of those old um Goats hats, like Papa Smurf. Huh? Just like got this floppy little thing. I've seen that type of hat maybe in um mate. Is that the word? Mate, maiden. Um, this thing has like string hearing. Yeah. And you knot, you knot it under your chin so the hat stays put. I think that's the purpose of this, but I'm not sure. Okay, so the thing that I do, I'm gonna increase the resolution. The thing that I do is create this scaffold. I do this, uh, these things, these pseudo meshes, grids, and what I do after that is just I fill the space. So it makes sense to me doing it this way. Um, just filling a grid, then stretching a single piece. But as I have mentioned, it's maybe because of my 2D background, working with drawings. I used used to publish a lot of my drawings before, but it's a thing I don't do that much. I don't draw as much as I do before, and the thing is, it takes time. Well, I like to draw. I like to draw. It takes um, sometimes 24 hours to complete, and I like it. It's quite peaceful to just see it and draw and forget about everything, and it's just you, a pencil, and your interpretation of the subject. I usually draw with pencil. I don't like to draw with colors. It's never liked it. Never liked it. Or I never could understand uh, colors. Also, it takes more time if you use colors. I mean, only light and shadow. You can do everything with just black. a piece of white paper, and I love that. I always love that. Which is not the same as when I do 3D stuff. 3D stuff, I like to think a bit of color. Um, but it's more fun adding color in 3D. The thing with 3D is always been fascinating to me. It's creating entire worlds with just computers. It's a great power, and it's only limited by imagination. Um, I think the first thing I ever animated in 3D was a whale from a tutorial. I think that was close to 2000, the year 2000. And I was in I was in high school. Now the thing with creating this grid is like, as you might notice, there are some kind of imperfections here that you will notice. Flat faces or lumps. Um, I've seen other sculptors, as I mentioned before, they create a basic shape, more like solid, and they use booleans to remove parts. Let's say this way. I remove this, maybe bigger. Um, it's more definition. So using booleans, you create a um, um, more like solid mechanical shape, and they don't have these weird lumpy things. But as I mentioned, I don't actually mind that much. I believe in um, doing the best you can with the tools you have. Some people are afraid to show their art or show the things they are they have created because they're afraid of people telling them that it's ugly or that has defects, or I mean it's what the word is not being confident enough. I understand that thing. uh, I don't think I'm confident. I just don't care. I don't care what people say. So is that confidence? I don't think it's confidence. I've been doing this drawing, not in a professional matter, or doing art pieces, whatever. Maybe since I was 5 years old, and you started. to understand that um, there's no rules for this. Someone tells you that there is a certain rule for do a thing in art a certain way. That person is wrong. And that takes a while to understand. But I think in my case, because I just never cared that enough. But some friends, I have friends, they are afraid to show their art because of that. And they create good things. And it's okay. It's okay to listen to people saying that they don't like your art, and I'm gonna tell you why. And that is because if you are appealing to create things for an audience, you can change what you are doing to fit what that audience wants. If you're doing this just for yourself, that's fine. Which is, I guess, is my way doing this thing, sculpting certain things, drawing a certain way because I like it, because I have certain passion for that, blah blah blah. But when you listen to the people, you find mistakes, and that's okay. You find that some things are not the way um, more pleasing to the eye, maybe. You start to improve, and that's good. Change is good. That's something a friend told me once, that no matter what way you see it, change is good. You have to change for good. Now I have this side. I have to continue with that piece, and later I have to remove the head to see the inner side. So okay, let me put this here for a moment. I need to check something. Uh, okay. So why Dante? If if that's a good question related to what I'm saying, why am I so interested into Dante? Well, the thing is, I've been working with some um, mock-up tools. Um, okay, let's back it up a little. I am a software engineer, 10 years. 10 years, man. Oh, no. Well, 10 years working, but since I started to study in 2004. That's a long time, my friend. And well, I'm more interested in art, or I've been way more into art since a child. And I mean, I've been more into art that I'm a software engineer because 5 years old, software engineer, more than 10 years. 10 years working professionally, but I've always wanted to bind two together, and I've done it. Of course, there is generative art. You can paint in the computer, whatever else, sculpting, anything. Um, since I'm a software engineer, I've worked a bit in VR, creating um, the scenes in VR, web VR to be more specific. I'm working all too with um, Unity and Real Engine. Um, but since the main goal is to create art, I tried to bind two of them somehow. And that means sometimes create software to to merge both. Last year while working on some beer projects, uh, I thought that it would be cool to create well, too much smooth. It would be cool to create software to capture movement, and that way create an animation short. So I had success last year, but um, I only managed to capture head and hands, just like this VR environment in Medium. But as you can see, there are no elbows. So the main goal, or the first goal, was to capture hands and head and animate uh, a little being a mannequin, some sort, something like that. And I did, and created a couple of animations with that. I also created a music video for a band here in my country, Costa Rica. Uh, I animated I'll capture the whole band playing their instruments. But the thing is, they still, well, when I render the final video, um, they had no elbows. So the goal after that was to add some elbow support. I know it can be done because I saw uh, oh, I don't have their name, but there is a guy or team. I'm not aware. They're making a VR game, and they have these characters. Well, you are the character, and they have the same principle that I was working: capture head and hands. And they do something different. They add like um, a noodle as an arm. So the 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 noodle arm is attached to the torso, and so it looks funny. Um, it's funny because of the way the game is designed. It's meant to be a funny game. Um, what I aim is something more like be a bit more realistic. So hey, Dante. So in my case, I needed to feel the elbows, and the only way I know how to do this is in Blender. So I imported the whole animation into Blender, and there I feel the the inverse kinematics, and so what I actually want is to create I mean, taking all together this Dante, Virgil. What I want is to create a new short. I actually created a short, not a short, with the mockup tools last week. It's called Weird. It's just too short, like 30 seconds. Um, and it was more like a test, proof of concept of the inverse kinematics, animation, the whole setup. It was rendered in Unity, and I don't know if I'm going to render this new short in Unity. But the thing is to do a little passage um, oh boy, of the Divine Comedy of Dante and Virgil going to hell and have a bit of fun. I will play both characters, and of course will behave differently. Animate the whole stuff and from the environment. It's not that hard. But sculpting, texturing, this is what takes time. Man, I'm hitting these holes. This is because the material is quite skinny. So that's it. I wanted to create a animation short with the tools I have, not worrying about if I am capable or not doing it. I just don't care. But I know I can. I mean, I've done it before. Is that confidence? Knowing that you can do something because you did it before? But I've also haven't created a short this big. Well, I've created music videos, yes, before. I haven't created a mock-up or animation short. The mock-up's this long. Well, the music video, but this requires some detail. I wanted it to look good. I've learned a lot in the last year, and I wanted that to be reflected into the final product. I don't know if completely feel the flap ears like I feel the hat, because maybe I want to put some animation to that, making it a cloth. It needs to be bigger, maybe. I don't know. I like how it looks. And all these assets need to be remeshed, retopologized, textured, whole process to be used in the end. This needs to be a bit longer, I think. Like over here, I think. I don't know. The fact that it's not symmetrical, it's part of what makes it look good. My head. I take a seat. I recall that when I started sculpting last year, um, I sculpted standing, and that is pain. Fits hard. And part of the thing that I was doing in standing is because I saw many screencasts, recordings, people sculpting standing, so I thought that was the right way. But one day I thought, well, no one is watching me, so I slowly grab the chair and I sit in it, and I later discovered that that's what everyone is doing. And by everyone, I mean all other sculptures in in medium. So now that I sit, I am able to stay more than an hour sculpting. These holes, boy. No, just a lack of material. This is not going to be finished today. Yesterday I did the whole robe, dress, pajama part, and once I get tired enough to run away from here, I will stop and continue tomorrow. I think the name of the crown is called Guild. Just for you guys to be aware. English is not my mother language. I hope my accent is not quite profound. My mother language is Spanish. I know I have an accent. And I know I have an accent because once I saw a video of a guy from my country talking in a video, and I said, "Man, that dude speaks like an idiot." And I realized that that sounded kind of familiar, and it was because it sounded like me. So when I listened to that guy, I knew that that's how I sound. So yeah. So yeah, I think that the crowns are called guilds. Gilded. Yeah. I think that's the word. Um, gilded, gilded poets. Oh boy, there's a hole in there. So yeah, this is the first time I'm streaming on Twitch, on Periscope, and YouTube. Just trying services, never used them before. Streaming is quite easy, in fact. Just, just thinking if, well, I'm just streaming. I'm not. There is no title in my stream. I'm very sure about that. There is no title. In Facebook, you have to set up the whole thing prior streaming. I saw something kind of similar into Twitch, but I didn't play with it a lot. Whoa, what the hell is that? Oh yeah, it's not here. Ah, Dante. You know what? When I did the head, I was never or that I will reach this far. Or I was not conscious about it. And I want to create a guild, and and I think we'll finish with it. I don't know if I have some stamps for this. Organic. And there is this one. I think I have. Man, I would love to rip some of this. Oh, look, kind of cool. I rip this and. Okay, it's an option. I know I have kind of a leaf. Yeah, I have this one here too. Up, up. Some guild color. I know I can do something like this. Beep, 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 beep. Oh man, looks cool. But it's a single. Ah, beautiful. Looks beautiful. Just want to increase the resolution. Just take a look. I mean, this is the size. This is the size of the leaf. I think it's okay. Guilds. The thing with guilds is that you have to start from the front. It's a pain. Um, and mirror, I know. Mirror. Okay. Wow. Okay. Thing with the mirror is. The problem with the mirror is that I know it's not aligned. That's the thing. See? I can try, but I have to remove that one too. Boy. There is no way. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try to ignore it for now. I am gonna try. Okay. No, single. Uh, well, first, I can try to create a line. A real small line. Just as a reference for the guild. Okay, here we go again. Head size. Leaf size. And I have to start from the top. I guess that was the thing, because sometimes if I try to start over here, the next one will not be as good as I wanted. But yeah, that's it from here, because I wanted them to open like this, and that sometimes doesn't work. One here, and now so I'm going there as good as I can. I'm aware that the other side's not precisely placed. That's what I'm going to fix later by hand. Okay. It's a bit hard to decide what you actually want it. And I would like to use this guild as look, this is different. Just go from front to the back. Looks less crowny. And well, I would like to use this guild as a stamp because maybe use it for Virgil if I don't create a new one for him. Sometimes I get special with the fact of creating new things, but guild, copy guild, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, thing I want is to just to get it as close as possible. I like it. Um, and the last thing to fix, maybe I don't know if to do it right now. The back part, I think I'll base more into that hat. Um, I don't know if I don't know how to make that part. I may have to add a bit more research, but here he has this is like falling like hair. Maybe he has a bunch of hair there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The drawing actually has a lot of detail. I can take a look at it. So weird. So weird. What I could do right now is maybe another layer, just to not ruin the current hat layer. Maybe. Hat color. And let's see. So confusing. So I could just assume that mirror activated. And that this is piece of the hat that's falling. That's like those Visigoth hats. You know, this is actually like this. would just assume that. I actually don't mind. It's cool. But I wanted to cover most of his head. It's a beautiful mess. So right now, both pieces, this and the top of the head, are separated. What I want later is to join them, and, and then I can finish them together. I've seen people use layers as a way to create more definition into their pieces regarding uh, hard surface, because when you cut piece and it's from the same layer, um, medium reacts a certain way. But if you create a piece and cut it into another layer and then you join him into that layer, into that other layer, um, you can create straight edges when you join both pieces. Great definition, which is totally not what I'm doing right now. My stuff looks more organic. That's a nice word when you are working something that doesn't look straight. Organic, it looks organic. And that's beautiful. Because it looks organic. It looks like a mess. Like nature, like a tree. It has no direction. But that's a thing you want to avoid when you're working with a hard surface. So, I don't know, I think it's more squarey thingy. By the way, mine looks very organic. So again, to anyone that doesn't know what am I doing, I am creating a replica kind of Dante Alighieri, Italian poet, writer of the Divine Comedy, Inferno, Purgatorio, et Paradiso. It's cool to read the Divine Comedy in my case, Spanish, even in English. You get a sense of what he is saying. Um, but the true magic in his writing is also in his poetry. I like the original language. Um, if you are able to watch a movie or read a book, do it in the original language, because there are certain words with certain sense and certain meaning that are lost in translation. You don't want to read something that is not in its original language. Um, there are a bunch of movies that are translated to Spanish and they suck. Translation is not good. Not because the work is not uh, done with care, because I recognize it's a hard job, but because when you try to fit Spanish words into, let's say, English, sometimes Spanish words are quite big and English are quite small, and you have to remove words from the total meaning to um, fit a sentence, and that ruins the meaning. You don't want that. So okay, I think that part, I think could be better, but how much? How much of this? But I'm going to merge it with the outer part of the head, so you're both merged. Puck hat, one hat. So this is what I was talking about. The hard surface, the edges remain. Some appreciated. Um, for hard surface, I of course not appreciating them right now because it's not a hard surface. I get what I'm saying. Quite easy to merge. It's a nice tool to merge. And of course the insights. I would like this to be a bit bigger. Just because I mean since this is a I think the name is Visigot, Bizigot, I don't know. I know the word in Spanish, not in English. I think the Visigoths were part of the French too. Kind of a hats, weird hats they have. I was in that type of hat in French paintings a lot. By the way, again, the references I am using are from Gustave Doye. He was French, great painter, and engraver. I haven't seen yet an original um, engraving because this I think I'm not entirely sure. Um, you can engrave this because they're not drawings. They look like drawings. You engrave this in metal. I think his were metal, but you engrave them in metal or wood, and then you put ink on them, and then of course you print them. That's how these uh, uh, drawings were made for books. In all these drawings, Dante always has this mean look, but I will say that's because of his nose. But as you can see, his lips are always like pointing, like an inverse smile all the time. Big jaw, maybe, big nose. Um, the Italian nose, big hawk nose. That was that was Dante. Sopra la sua commedia dell'inferno, del purgatorio e del paradiso, con vuole argomenti et allegorie, riformato Rio è tutto, en, et ridotto alla sua vera lettura per Francesco Sansovino, fiorentino. Dante, in Venezia, Aprelo, presso Giumba, Gio, Giovan, Giovan Battista, Marchio Sescia, Sefa, et fratelli. Yep. No, I don't know Italian. Well, I think I'm gonna leave this here. I would like to add more of this stuff here. And I don't know if the way it looks right now it's enough. Just look how weird it looks there. I'm gonna leave him here, just like yesterday. So yeah, this is the end of the stream. You can continue with your life. See you tomorrow if you have the pleasure to be here with me.